Hello, everybody. My name is Emilio Fariaz.
And my name is Jamal Armstrong, and we're both students attending Pacific Union College, currently in an art class. Today we'll be discussing two different artworks, the first one being The Intervention of the Sabine Woman, done by Jacques-Louis David in 1799.
And the second piece of artwork that we'll be examining is called Bethlehem Wall Graffiti 1, done by Banksy in 2007.
Great! So it's quite amazing how David paints such a magnificent painting which depicts so much chaos, yet there's a sense of calmness to it as well. And that's seen in the middle of the picture with Hercilia. What's going on there? What do you see in this drawing?
You know, there's actually some interesting background to that. There's a quote from David on this painting saying, "I set out to do something entirely new. I want to take art back to the principles laid down by the Greeks."
Ah,
And as we know, the Greeks often use nudity in their art to portray beauty,
right,
and
right.
David uses this technique in this artwork. Hercilia is standing in between both her father Tatius and her husband Romulus, both of which are depicted as strong nude males, which really does have a sense of that Greek style of art we're so accustomed to.
Yeah, very interesting. But however, unlike many other artists of the Greek times, we see that David doesn't focus solely on the beauty of the human body. He does incorporate it, but his point seems to be much deeper than that. What he signifies is that his heroes are depicted with more of a moral superiority than a physical superiority. Great point you bring up, though.
Let's take a step back for a moment. As you can see, Hercilia is stopping her husband and her father from essentially killing each other. Why is that, Jamal?
Yeah, well, this piece of artwork is set in early Roman history, and here the two sides that are fighting are the Romans and the Sabines. We can tell that they are not on good terms. You see, what had happened was the Romans had taken the daughters of the Sabines, and the Sabines are now retaliating. So we see Hercilia stepping in to prevent any further abductions on either side. I personally really like how she took a stand against these two men in the midst of what was chaos, showing no fear of death.
Ah, I see what you're saying. And along with a disregard for death, she is also acting out against both her father and her husband. Her defiance is a plea for reconciliation
Wow,
between
yeah.
both sides, which is essentially the theme of this piece.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree. What is awesome about this picture is that in the midst of all the chaos, there's sort of a sense of calmness in the middle of it all. David does a great job of controlling the figures and movements in the painting. We see that David is not focusing on chiaroscuro, or shadow effects. He is in a sense exaggerating the light in the painting.
Definitely. The light is everywhere. He is clearly not fearful of using the light. The light signifies such a triumphant moment. You could almost say, you can almost say a glorious moment, giving these humans, and especially Hercilia, such a heroic presence.
Yeah. All right, so here we see Banksy's piece entitled Bethlehem Wall Graffiti 1, done in 2007. You know, Banksy is a very prominent artist of the modern era, but he's also a very intelligent man. You know, he once said, "The greatest crimes in the world are not committed by people breaking the rules, but by people following the rules.
Wow.
It's people who follow orders who drop bombs and massacre villages."
Such a powerful message, one that I think is displayed within this piece. Here we see a small girl inspecting an Israeli soldier. The irony of this piece is that Banksy created this work on a wall in Bethlehem, which is in fact guarded by Israeli soldiers.
Well, the purpose of the wall, according to the Israeli government, is to keep terrorists out of Jerusalem. Israeli soldiers are actually armed with assault rifles to protect the wall and to examine papers of anyone who may walk up to the wall, including innocent people, and sadly, possibly even little girls, like the one depicted in this work.
And you know, that is such a tragedy.
It is.
What I see in this piece is that Banksy is in disagreement with the Israeli approach to protecting the city. He is implying that Israeli soldiers would go as far as searching and questioning a little girl, which makes the soldiers look like monsters for doing such things.
And I think nearly everyone would agree with Banksy on that. What I personally like about Banksy is that he portrays messages like this one through the use of graffiti.
True.
It's such a step away from the typical line and form we see in more conservative pieces, and yet the message is still there.
Very good point. And I feel the same. It's almost refreshing to see artwork as free as his.
Exactly.
And in closing, I feel it's almost fitting to end on a quote by Banksy himself. Graffiti is not the lowest form of art. Despite having to creep about at night and lie to your mom, it's actually the most honest art form available.
We thank you guys for listening, and I hope you were enlightened.